the fact that like you don't want to start doing certain things at all. Like you don't want to start having a dev fund at all. You don't want to start like even just like doing coin rescues at hard forks at all. Because if you start doing them at all, then you've severely weakened your arguments against going further. And then once you go further, you've severely weakened your arguments against going even further. And so like you just have to like put your foot down somewhere and say like this is the limit. And oftentimes like there isn't a kind of intuitive spot to put that limit except for zero. And so that's why like sometimes we just have to agree that like we're going to put our foot down and we're going to say zero is the limit, even though from some kind of social optimality sense the best amount might be some number higher than zero, like just because of limits to coordination, like zero might just be the number that you choose, right? So like these kinds of
Bitcoin's
like
monetary policy comes to mind.
yes, yes, that's definitely a great example. Like, there's definitely a lot of Bitcoiners who would be willing to privately admit that, like, yes, Bitcoin would on net be better if you just said there's a zero point 0.1 Bitcoin block reward that continues permanently. But in practice, like everyone kind of agrees that once you start saying 0.1, then like you've really compromised your ability to argue against, say, increasing to 0.5 and then increasing to 2 and then increasing even further. And the fact that everyone kind of like believes in this slippery slope itself kind of contributes to everyone's understanding of the strength of not even starting to go down the slippery slope. And so like everyone's belief in the shelling fence essentially is the thing that just contributes to the shelling fence being so strong, right? So I definitely expect that Bitcoin is going to have an extremely hard time going beyond the 21 million coin limit. Like I actually think that if Bitcoin has a security crisis, so there start being successful 51% attacks against it, like there's basically three choices that they could take, right? Choice one is compromising on 21 million. Choice two is just accepting the attacks. And choice three is moving to at least hybrid proof of stake. And I mean, I expect that there's a higher chance that if there's a security crisis, they'll move to hybrid proof of stake, just because even if the kind of like the core Bitcoinerati really hate proof of stake, like just the fact that Ethereum and the fact that all these other platforms are using it without a problem actually does contribute to its legitimacy. But if that did not happen, right, if like the hybrid proof of stake route was also out of the question, like they would much rather just accept the attacks than they would accept a even slight issuance increase, just because of these shelling fences. Like basically, like there's parts of the Bitcoin community that are even actively against making a shelling fence about any specific guarantee of security, right? Like they even explicitly say things like, oh, the Bitcoin blockchain is explicitly something that never finalizes. And so even reverting a week of activity is something that does not like explicitly violate the Bitcoin blockchain stated guarantees, which I think to an Ethereum person like sounds very insane. And I think in the Ethereum case, if like there was a 51% attack that reverted a week of activity, we would just do a hard fork, right? Or at least a soft fork that just like deleted the attacking chain. But so like that's just like an example where I think like in the Ethereum case, like just finality and non-reversion is something just like is a stronger part of the social contract. And like you could even imagine a blockchain community that says, we have a hard community norm against reversions longer than 24 hours. And so if the proof of work system reverts more than 24 hours, well, too bad, we're going to have to hard fork it. And if that happens, like that's just another example of like how, like if you set the fence, then like that fence itself becomes like one of these self-reinforcing things that's really powerful. And so like how you set the norms at the beginning is just really important.